back. Episode 2 of season 2, 3 the hard way. I'm Tariq Rashad here with Married Man Rob.
Really?
We still elated about that.
Yeah.
Big up.
Keep it going.
And
Switch it up, John.
Switch it up,
John.
Oh, it's the first time gone. What is that? 3 weeks? This is three episodes in a row.
Yeah.
Switch it up,
That
John.
means that
Not switching it up.
I'll have to switch it up.
What is happening?
Either way,
man.
we have it.
It's great to see you guys. We got a weekend of sports, man.
I'm excited.
Y'all was happy.
I'm excited. Basketball's back. I've been watching it all day and night.
You ain't the only one.
Waking up to it. Midday.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful thing, man.
Just love it. Y'all see that Nike commercial with the this is us or we are sports or
you can't stop sports.
Can't stop sports.
Can't
Can't stop
stop
sports, but it's
us.
us. And the way that they dubbed that commercial with the edits,
Yeah.
oh man, that commercial was fire.
Whoever that editor is, we need to highlight you.
That commercial was fire.
Get some facts, man.
So how before we get into it, guys, we got a good show for you today. We're gonna talk about a lot of things. Of course, we're gonna talk about the NBA. Got some time in the basketball now. You know what I mean? We're gonna talk about the NBA weekend now. Got some NFL news we didn't get to touch on last week. The NFL dropped their NFL players dropped their top 100. This is only voted on by players, correctly? Correct. So, boom, chaka, boom, boom.
Interesting.
Very interesting list.
So disrespectful.
John prefacing how he feels about the list.
Interesting.
And then we got some other news for some J. Cole's been working out, trying to get on the NBA team. Excited to see about that. The Knicks
new shoe that just dropped.
New kick just dropped with Puma, right? Nice little kick drop with Puma. Zion and his minutes restriction. You got Billy Donovan and the coach of the year, co-coach of the year. Conversation that we talked about last week.
Oh my God.
The Knicks hired a coach that everyone's not 100% happy about. Mixed feelings about the hire of Tom Thibodeau. We're gonna touch on that.
You gotta ask the Knicks fan about that one.
Nah. That's not you?
John, so we lost. Oh, yeah. He did say it.
He did say it a few times.
He said,
I ain't believe him.
I'm over, but
I ain't believe him.
No. I always have in my heart orange and blue. But until Dolan is gone, John is through.
Spoken like a real Nick, man.
Facts.
All right. So we're gonna jump right into it, man. We're gonna start with some basketball. Newest segment created by John. Switch it up, John. We call this
He's phony, she's fake. That's the type of people I hate.
Who's real, who's fake? So
NBA started up
early, and we want to talk about the storylines. Which storylines are real? Which storylines are, as we called the Phoenix Suns earlier this year? What'd you call them, John?
Hot ball of gas.
Hot ball of gas. So which one is real? Which one is the chest pain is just some gas. Just some stinky gas. So we're gonna start with the Rockets. All right. John got a lot on his mind about the Rockets. As everyone knows here, I am the Russell Westbrook fan. So I treat the Rockets like my team. Anytime I say we to these two, though,
talk about the Rockets.
They don't respect it. But I've made it very clear that I follow Russell Westbrook where he goes. I want to see my man get a championship. The question here is: are the Rockets real? Are the Rockets fake? The Rockets started off the season, the bubble, dropping 168 on Dallas, beating Milwaukee, and then recently they lost to Portland in a close game. And the question emerged: can the Rockets be a serious contender? Meaning, in layman's terms, can they beat the Clippers? Can they beat the Lakers? Because that's what it means to be a contender in the West right now, right? Clear.
That's fake.
And
very fake.
Is it real or is that just the spin that we need for storyline?
The
Rockets are not a contender.
The Rockets are real fake. I'm not believing it. Not doing it. The first game that they won against Dallas was off of a great play saved by Robert Covington. The Mavericks had the game in the bag. Should have won that game. They was winning throughout the fourth quarter. Down the stretch, they was putting them away. One thing led to another. Free throws. was missed. One free throw was missed, and then Robert Covington came with his game-winning save, and then at the end of the game, the Rockets closed out the game.
In overtime.
In overtime, right. Yeah, and closed out the game.
So great save by Robert Covington, by the way.
Great
I've
save.
never seen a ball that was intentionally missed as a free throw hit the rim so many times. Shout out to James Harden for that.
Right.
Because I don't know if he planned to do that, but everybody on Dallas that jumped for the rebound, the ball was still on the rim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robert Covington, 6'7", came around.
And,
he came around and tipped it in.
Yep.
Great tip. Go ahead, John. Continue your point.
Second game, which almost had me to be a believer, which was Milwaukee. Where they handled Milwaukee. They frustrated Giannis.
Big lineup.
They frustrated Giannis. They won against the big lineup. Their defense was great.
No. The defense was great, yes. But you're going to shout that man out for his defense.
I'm going to shout him out.
You're going to say his name.
I'm going to shout him
You
out.
gonna say his name because he been locking up.
James Harden.
He been taking on. He been taking on
James
that responsibility.
James Harden been stepping up and taking on the responsibility as defensive one-on-one. I've seen him guard Giannis down the stretch, and I think that had a lot to do with they tried to violate him in the All-Star game where.
Man, there's beef.
Listen,
it's legit beef between him and Giannis.
But it's not just a Giannis thing. For me, John, it's a James Harden thing. And if you look at the Rockets, you'll see him down the stretch taking on the challenge.
Okay, yeah.
He's not hiding on the wing and guarding whoever. Granted, the Rockets do switch every screen. But when they coming down, I got days.
To say, if you want James Harden on you, don't call for the screen. You'll get him.
Right.
On Luka, on Dame.
In the post, and he was guarding Nurkic.
And I applaud that for him. Does that make him a good defender? No. That makes him a player that has effort. It shows that he's not a good defender because each and one of those games, he had 5 fouls.
So
that's saying that I'm not moving my feet.
You say Giannis is not a good defender?
I'm not moving my feet.
You say Giannis is not a good defender?
Because he falls in foul trouble all the time.
Every game.
I will say Giannis gets in foul trouble for trying to block shots.
And Harden gets in foul trouble for trying
to put your hands up.
For trying to get steals.
Not moving his feet, and trying to use his arms to compensate for his lack of
Is that not the same thing of trying to get a block?
That is not.
Trying to use your arms to compensate for
meeting you at the rim is different than beating you on the ground.
I meet you at the rim. I can see if Giannis was averaging 3 blocks a game.
I can't.
I can see if Giannis was averaging 3 blocks a game. He's not.
Giannis averaging like 1.5.
1.5 to 5 fouls.
On a weak side. I'm talking about one-on-one, man-to-man defense. James Harden getting blown by.
No.
And the reason why he's not getting blown by is because he's using his arm. That's why he got 5 fouls.
I disagree.
John, I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm gonna go to another example. Then they played against Portland last night. They played against Portland against a skilled big and a team that controlled the game, slowed the game down, made them play to their pace, and took advantage of the size advantage.
So can I ask you a question?
No.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm not done with my statement.
Back.
Okay,
Go ahead, John. Go ahead. Finish your statement.
Finish up.
So, like I was saying, I feel like because of Rockets' lack of size, they can get beat by teams with size. Those teams being, like I said, like last night against Portland. I think that if Portland plays Houston in a 5-game series, I believe that Houston can beat Portland. I mean, Portland can beat Houston. I believe that Portland can beat Houston. They've done it before. I think that they got a deeper team than they ever had before. I think that Dame and CJ are playing on another level, and I think that Carmelo Anthony is a great closer for them. You have more options, and that size advantage, as long as with the defense that they was playing last night, and these guys stepping up, I think that the size factor is going to play a major part in Houston's ability to win games. They get out rebounded, and also this is why a lot of their teams go to the free throw line as much as them. So if you're also getting out rebounded and giving me second chance points, that's easy for me to score. So you're giving me buckets as well. And on top of that, they had 2 games where they shot 39%, which doesn't bode well for them. So those are my reasons why I think Houston's fake, bro. I think they're real fake.
Yeah, bro. So my points on why I think Houston's real. Let's just put it out there right there. I'm a believer in this small ball lineup, specifically because you have James Harden and Russell Westbrook and nothing but shooters around them. Granted, yes, they are going to get out-rebounded. I 110% agree with you. But my thing is, my questions about Houston was defensively. Who can they guard, right? We already know they're going to get out-rebounded. That's just what it is. Can they get the turnovers, right? Because they're going to be running the gun and shooting threes. And I don't see a team that's backing down from nobody. And I think that's a a tribute to your boy Russell Westbrook. Like, I've seen a different version of James Harden. I'm starting to believe that he has. It's like that switch is. You know, when those great players really get that, like they figured it out. Mm-hmm. To me, it's looking like James Harden has figured it out, what it takes to win. Like, they're trapping him. Okay, I'm gonna dish it down to Russell Westbrook, and now he has a wide open lane, a 3-on-2 fast situation with shooters everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I think that's gonna be really hard to beat. I just don't think they can beat the Lakers, but I think they can beat the Clippers. Honestly, I really do.
So here's my take on Houston. I do believe that they're a real dark horse team.
Yeah,
I think if you put, I think I said this last week. I do not think they can beat the Lakers and the Clippers. I don't think they can go back to back against either one of those teams in whichever order they were to face them. It would be too much. But I do believe that they can give one of those teams a run for their money, and this is why. I want to say I don't believe in small ball, even though this year I have been rooting for the two small ball teams, the Rockets and Boston. But if I'm going to run small ball, more Houston than Boston, this is the way I would do it. I have the best half-court isolation basketball player in the league. I have the most locomotive downhill, down your throat, every possession player in Russell Westbrook. So I can, and my coaching says I have everybody bought in. Everybody on the team bought. Everybody that's all 8 players that's playing. There's only 8 players playing. It's not like I got a 10 to 12 people. I got a 10 to 11 people like Boston does, like these other teams with deep rosters. And there are pros to that, and there are cons. And the cons is what I saw last night. There are pros to having eight men only 8-man rosters, but there's also cons to it as well. I got nothing but shooters, and I have the coach that invented the 7 seconds or less offense. I have one of the fastest players in the league grabbing my rebounds, and he's taking off. If he can't find it or he can't find a shooter, we can kick it back out to James and let him go at with whoever he want to go at. In the half court, that's more transition. In the half court set, I can start with James if I want to, or I can give it to Russ and put my shooters all over the court. And those same big people that are trying to bully me on the offensive end now have to scramble on the defensive end. And what does that mean? Jeff Green taking 14 threes.
Wide open threes. Every single last one of them.
And that's my thing, John. So when you talk about...
But my thing is this. So my thing is...
Let me get into my point. Because this is the rhythm that I'm talking about. I agree. It is a rhythm thing. You can try to slow down the rhythm, but regardless to what... maybe we saw 2 different things last night. Every open shot, every time Houston got the ball, they got an open shot. Except for when Russell Westbrook went to the basket being Russell Westbrook at times. But you're going to get that from him. Let's talk about it for real, though. He only took 14 shots. It's not a Russell Westbrook.
That's a bad night for Westbrook.
That's a bad. He doesn't even shoot that.
I forgot to mention this too. So you said Russell Westbrook. James Harden has been in foul trouble. John, if you look around the league, bro, there has been multiple players fouling. That's just a consensus of the bubble. Like fouls are up regardless. That's Russ. That's ref athlete can hear the fouls because there's no crowd out there, right, bro? So I'm not worried about James Harden getting in foul trouble, meaning that's a bad defender. That's just Russ to me.
I don't think that's Russ. So, I think that's James Harden.
The other part is...
and I also think that...
So Brook Lopez had 6 fouls in 20 minutes.
With this team...
Marcus Smart, 6 fouls in
being honestly
15 minutes.
Facts.
But my point is...
That's a problem. If you're giving me...
But Marcus Smart is a good defender. He fouled out in the third quarter.
That's still an issue. That doesn't matter. Just because
are you worried?
The league is consistent. I'm saying that when it comes down to it, right, and you need James Harden on the floor, if he has 5 fouls, a lot of that time that he's sitting on the bench because he's in foul trouble. So that means you're taking away from your offense, which means that your offense is going to get stagnant, which means that you have Russell Westbrook bringing up the ball and shooting whatever crazy shots that he's doing. I don't believe that's winning basketball at all.
Okay, so I'm gonna stick up for Russell Westbrook here and say that he does not take as many crazy shots as you think he does. He used to do that, but the shots that he missed usually are contested layups or open jump shots.
13 for 30 against the Mavs. That's not crazy shots. 13 for 30
miss shots. You want. Listen,
that's his role in the team.
He scored 168 points against the Mavs.
153.
153. Excuse me. He scored 153 points against the Mavs.
They balled out.
You talk about efficiency, but they're not going for efficiency.
And that's why I believe that they're not real because
hear
efficient scorers and efficient offenses win basketball championships. When the games come down to it and it comes down to the stretch.
So the last point that I'm going to make is
wins.
Every one of those games, I've seen them down by 14, 15, 16 points. And everyone that watched the games with me can attest to me saying, I don't feel any pressure because it's so fast for them. You get, I said this before. You score 8 layups, you get 16 points. I hit 5 threes, I'm down by 1. You had to hit 3 more baskets than me. And I'm down by 1. And I'm not giving you layups. They're not as contested as they should be if a Capella was down there. Maybe even Tyson Chandler was in the game. But PJ Tucker's no slouch. 6'7" is not the smallest person in the world. I'm not giving you layups. In my rebounds, we're going to rebound decently because when we do miss threes, usually they're long misses.
And Eric Gordon hurt right now.
So I think that Houston can make some noise. I'm going to end it at that. John does not believe so. Let's move on.
Go ahead, Ty. Go ahead, Ty.
Miami.
You know what I want to talk about.
We move on to Miami.
Miami.
That's what you want to talk about?
What? You know I want to talk about these Heat. That's my finals pick.
Talk about them Heat.
Listen, Heat look good.
Mm-hmm.
They look good. They back in their home state. It's like they the only team besides the Magic that got a home court advantage. But I like the Heat team, man. When I look at them, I seen them play Boston without Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw what I expected them to do, a complete team that can hit you from different forces, whether it's a big man down low, whether it's Kelly Olynyk shooting threes, whether it's Goran Dragic off the bench, give you 20. And they're long. And the other thing that really impressed me about them was my man Spoelstra came through. Boston was making a run, and they put it out like some matchup zone, bro. And it was really just discombobulated Boston's entire offense. It was really beautiful for me to watch as a Heat die easy fan right now, I guess you could say. But no Jimmy, no problem. That's what I gotta say about the Heat, man.
Yeah, man. I like the Heat. The Boston win without Jimmy was big for me. Because it showed me that they don't need Jimmy to win, and if they add Jimmy, he just makes them more dangerous. That's the crazy part about it. You don't know where the score is going to come from because anybody on that team can give you buckets. I think Bam Adebayo is a great player for them. He gives them the energy buckets. He also gives you skill buckets. He can control the game offensively and defensively. He can pass the ball, right? He's a threat wherever you want him to be. And he's smart. He has great IQ. That whole team is a high IQ team. They don't take 4 shots. It's rare that you see them take 4 shots. And if they do, it's coming from the right person. Like, you know that Drive is going to force it. You know that Jimmy's going to force it. But outside of that, everybody knows their roles and plays it. And they're the quintessential team right now, for me, of team basketball. They're unselfish. And they can throw defensive lineups at you. The reason why I would have them over Boston is because they're more consistent. Like, I've seen nights when Boston can't get buckets. It's stretches where Boston can't get buckets. When Miami can't get buckets, they have one player. It doesn't matter who it is. I've seen Chris One break the stretch. I done seen Duncan Robinson break the stretch. I done seen Goran Dragic hit a step back to break the stretch. Right? Like, these are guys that are going to give you buckets. And it might not be 20 points a game, but you'll get 11 from this person, 13 from this person, 14 from that person. Right? And that makes them dangerous. Do I have them beating Milwaukee? No. Do I have them? I thought I had them beating Boston, but after that game and seeing that Kemba Walker's on a minutes restriction, that kind of bothers me with his knee because he's the force that drives him. So right now, Miami is number 2 in the East for me. Better than Philly because Philly's struggling right now, and they're playing more cohesive.
Copy.
His room on the bandwagon.
I am not completely sold on Miami yet. I always thought they were a good team this year. I thought they were a good team. However, they're like you said, they're team basketball. They're kind of, in a sense, would you say they're like a blue collar team in a sense, with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo being the forerunners, and even Goran Dragic, the way that he gets his 20 is not pretty. But I'm gonna give him a bucket.
Clutch.
It's
Clutch
tough. It's gritty.
It's tough.
It's like T.J. McConnell as a all American. Like it's the upgrade of T.J. McConnell. When I look at Goran Dragic,
I ain't gonna let you disrespect the Dragon like that, man. Nah.
You don't think so?
Nah. What?
He's way better.
He is way better. I feel like they have a lot of the same tendencies, the same way of going about the game.
Dragic got more in his bag than
Dragic
have more.
Got Euro steps, step back threes.
But, I'll say this: I will be able to pass true judgment on the Heat out of their three out of the next four is against the Bucks, the Pacers, and the Thunder. I think those are the models of blue collar teams, with the Pacers and the Thunder, and then Milwaukee being the test for everyone.
I'm excited for that game.
So I'm not gonna say, oh no, they're not real because they lost to Milwaukee. No, that's not gonna do it for me. But I want to see how they play against the Pacers, how they play against the Thunder. Those are the kind of teams they're gonna see in that first round. I think they're in the 4th seed right now, so they're gonna see probably like an Indiana, one of those gritty teams, or maybe even they drop to the 6th and or Philly comes in, and Philly would be another one of those blue nose type, less finesse, more AU and Lane Bryant Gym or whatever like basketball. So I'm curious. I'm not sold on them. I'm not gonna quit on them yet either. Lastly, speaking of the Pacers, that boy with them braids looking good. I said TJ McConnell earlier. We're gonna talk about TJ Warren.
Is that Kawhi? Oh, I gotta double check. Dang, Kawhi.
But hey, is TJ Warren's coming out party a real thing? I
said it in last show about there's gonna be some guys that's gonna fill it up
in an empty gym
because there's an empty gym, and TJ Warren is one of those guys. TJ Warren is lighting it up. 53 on his first game back. 4 rebounds, 20 off of 29 shooting. He only missed 9 shots, right?
Second game.
9 threes made that game. Second game, he had 34 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks.
What was the shooting percentage?
14 for 26.
What? My man shooting 65% the last
Then
game.
against Orlando, 32.3 assists, 3 steals, 13 for 17.
6 steals?
No, 3 steals. 3 steals, 13 for 17 field goal percentage. The boy is he's at practice right now. That's what he's doing. He's at practice. He's at home. It's like intramurals for him. I'm just running. There's no crowd. There's no pressure. I'm doing my thing, man.
Think there's a chip on his shoulder the way that let him go?
I think there's a chip on his shoulder. Do I think that is real? I want to see what happens in playoffs.
I'm believing in TJ Warren. I think Indiana does a great job of developing talent, and he's just another system, another player that just fallen into it, is finding his niche within the league with Indiana. So,
copy. So, quick question before we move on from this: if Victor Oladipo comes back 75% healthy? They won't get Sabonis back. He's like in and out.
Playing to Patriatis.
Right. So, can they win a playoff series? Can they get out of the first round?
They can sneak one against Philly. That's the only team.
Against Boston.
How about Miami?
I don't see them being Boston.
I got them over Miami before I got them over Boston. But
to be seen.
I'll give you this. They'll get a game or 2 against Boston.
No, absolutely. They ain't gonna get swept. No, Indiana will not get swept. They will be the toughest out.
Nobody. Facts.
They'll be the toughest out.
All right,
They're not gonna get swept.
Good talk. Let's move on to some more action going on in the we're gonna move down the stretch. Let's move to our next segment. Move down the stretch. So
5th-minute stretch. 7-minute stretch.
No stretch.
I can't really move my shoulder too much. My shoulder's on fire. Anywho, let's get into it, man. Down the stretch, we're just gonna talk about a topic, and we're not going to stay on them for a set amount of time. Whether we're going to talk about it for a little bit of time or a lot of time, that's what it's going to be. It is what it is. We're coming down the stretch.
Yeah.
Keep the meat, spit out the bones. Starting with MLB. Another team. Now the St. Louis Cardinals. But the St. Louis Cardinals. They went to a casino. So. I ain't mad. And the Cardinals have a bunch of players that have contracted coronavirus. We had the Marlins last week.
What is going on in MLB, man?
Just wait for it.
Listen, I don't get it. You know that there's coronavirus going on. You understand that there's players that are testing positive, and the nation is spiking up for COVID-19. Don't you guys have protocols? And if they're not following protocols, what is the reprimand meant from that? I just want to know, because right now it's just like the wow.
Now I do what I want. Now I do what I want.
There's got to be some suspensions or something like that. Like now you're costing us money because of
Wait, are you speaking on the behalf of the MLB right now?
I feel like I'm speaking on behalf of John as a responsible person that loves sports, that want to see one of my favorite teams. It's not my favorite team, but I know somebody else's favorite team, how they feel about their players catching COVID and going to the casino.
Copy.
I feel like I would be a disgruntled fan right now if the Mets players did that, I would be cursing up a storm.
Listen. MLB got to get together, man. They just been dropping the ball on way too many things. There's a plethora of other stuff. They suspend people for throwing at Jose Altuve, but they won't suspend none of the Astros for cheating. Anyway, that's another story for another day. Rob Manfred, get your job together, man, because I don't know what you're doing over there, bro. You got to get together, man.
Is there season in jeopardy?
It might be, bro. I've been saying this. Let me say it again. I don't know if they're going to finish the season. I do not know if the MLB
the more and more this happens,
I would not be surprised.
I'm leaning with Rob. Like, yo, we might have to chalk this up and start over.
Facts.
Might have to restart.
Hiatus.
Facts. Might have to restart the season.
Facts.
J. Cole in the NBA.
Ooh.
So J. Cole been linked up with Master P.
Mm-hmm.
Master P said J. Cole balling, and he trying to make an NBA team next year.
Hey, man, did you see the clips?
I did see the clips of him. You saw the clips of him playing with them before?
Nah, bro. It was a new clip.
Of him just letting it fly?
No, he's playing with NBA players and giving them buckets.
Oh, no, I didn't. I seen old clips earlier this year.
A few pull-up clips. I seen that.
Buckets.
Yeah, I seen a
I mean, he been in the gym. You seen that, too. Like, he got a trainer or whatever the case may be. He did try out for St. John's as a walk-on. I think he made it his sophomore year. In a high school player, he was pretty good. I think right now, if I'm Detroit, I'm taking it. I don't got no fans. I don't got nobody to come. I trade my best player, Andre Drummond, and I don't got no reason to come to Detroit. Why not give me somebody to come fill the stands? Oh, forgot we're in the middle of COVID. I don't see it as a bad look though. I think J. Cole to the Pistons would be a great publicity for the Detroit Pistons.
He's with the right people. He's with Master P. Master P played ball.
He did it.
Master P got 2 contracts. From where? You know where?
Pistons?
Nah.
Wasn't the Hornets?
The Warriors?
The Raptors? And like
Hornets.
John just said, the Hornets. Where J. Cole from?
Charlotte.
He's not from Charlotte, but he's from North Carolina.
He's from Fayetteville.
Michael Jordan.
Who Charlotte got on their team?
Michael Jordan letting that
Man, you better put J. Cole in get the baby to do a show to start. J. Cole. J. Cole come out in his jersey and do a verse.
It'll be lit.
What this says to me is exactly what you just said.
Half.
He got some new verses coming out. He about to drop the album. That's some heat.
J. Cole got to drop some heat.
Be on the lookout. No Rob. Once again, J. Cole dropping the album.
Yeah, J. Cole's definitely dropping some music. I mean, he definitely dropped the sneakers. They look good.
Mm-hmm. I would cop a pair.
Could you imagine?
They don't look like ball kicks.
Nah, I wouldn't ball in them.
They look like something I would wear around. Yeah, some cool lifestyle.
That would be fine if J. Cole. He didn't even have to drop the album. He could just come out to. It's the intro from Saturday Night Lights. Friday Night Lights. That would be fire, bro.
This is your moment.
Yeah. Yo, that would be so lit.
This is your moment.
I mean, I guess that goes to say that everybody can chase their dreams no matter how.
Yeah, absolutely. No matter how late in the game, I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
If he makes the team, kudos to him.
Shout out to J. Cole.
We're not talking about.
I wish he. I really hope he does, but I just think he's gonna drop out. I don't think he's too serious about it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Rob. The Rock says, I've been watching a lot of Titan games lately. One of the best competitive Iron Man, I guess you would call it, workout, lifting,
cross training
competitions. Amazing.
Yeah.
But The Rock and a group of other people just bought the XFL for not that much money.
15 million.
15 million. That's not that much.
The cost of business for football is high, and I think the maintenance for it is high as well. You have to have a team around you to do it. I think it's a big risk. I think if anybody could pull it off, The Rock could. Mm-hmm. I think that he has the backing. He has a fan base. He has the capital. I don't know. I can't speak on that. I don't know what The Rock's banks look like that. I know that he makes a lot of movies, but I don't know what his bank looks like. But I do know that he has a lot of friends in high places that will support him, and that's what you're going to need for the XFL. You're going to need multiple people backing you in fundraising, especially when it comes to just players' jerseys and just the price of equipment or other stuff. And on top of that, it's COVID, so there's no home games. So how does that work? You know, when they roll it out, it's very complicated. But I have faith in The Rock. I think The Rock can pull it off. Anybody can do it. The Rock says. Know
The
your
Rock
role.
says,
Shut your mouth. Get this stuff done,
"Get
jabronis.
it done, jabronis."
I'm actually optimistic about this league. I think that I've seen this. Well, I saw a statement about The Rock saying that one of the reasons he really wanted to buy it was because he wanted to give people another shot to make it to the NFL. And I think that he views this as a passion as opposed to an investment. So he might be more willing to take the risk that it takes to make it a success initially. He's willing to take the initial burden of it not being something, but as soon as he gets that one person success story, like that might be good enough for him. Like that might be a success for him as opposed to economically. So, and like you said, he did it with a group of other buyers, so he's not fully invested by himself. So I'm optimistic about the XFL.
In my heart of hearts, I've always wanted. Well, not always, but for like the last 5 years, I can say I've wanted the NFL to have some competition. I don't like the way the owners treat the players. I think when I first started having this thought around at DeMarco Murray time, when the Cowboys ran DeMarco Murray into the ground, and then traded him, or didn't resign. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but I've always wanted there to be another platform where the owners kind of have to pony up, and be better men about the way that they handle this billion-dollar industry. And so I guess deep in my heart, I would hope the XFL can become something like that. Arena football, any type of sporting entity, but like football entity, but like John said earlier, they bought this for $15 million. That can't cover 3-star players' contracts. So it's going to be a lot of groundwork before anything that I'm envisioning or wishing for could happen. But at the same time, like you said, if anybody can do it, I think The Rock has one of the best chances. So
I'm smelling what The Rock's cooking.
And I like the point that you said, that bringing it to guys that can gateway themselves into the NFL, kind of like Last Chance U. I think that's a great opportunity as well. So, more opportunity, more ways to make it into the NFL. I mean, we watch basketball do all this overseas stuff and grab players from overseas, the G Leagues, and
there's players out there.
Yeah, let's do that for football too. I mean, we looked at Philip Lindsay last year, undrafted, balled out, Pro Bowler. There's other guys like that. Let's find them.
The guy PJ Walker, who's playing for the Carolina Panthers right now, used the XFL as his jumping his jump board to get to the NFL. So if The Rock, and I think this would be smart, is almost be like a G League. You can have, XFL be the minor league club,
practice squad players
for the NFL. That would be smart, but just options.
Back to basketball. Coach Billy Donovan. We spoke about the Coach of the Year last year.
Put some respect on his name, man.
We had
Good job, Ty.
that's what I'm saying. He said I'm disrespecting him, but I definitely shouted him out last week. So Billy Donovan is a Coach of the Year with Mike Budenholzer for the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's Oklahoma City.
Can I add it now?
Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, I will.
It was one vote away from being a 3-way tie with my boy Nick Nurse. So
and Nick Nurse and shout out to Nick Nurse too. I think we those were the 3 guys that we spoke about the most. And I threw in Rick Carlisle in there. But those are the 3 guys that we spoke about the most last week. And for what it's worth, I think they got it right. I really do. And I think Nick Nurse is respected by being one vote away from being the number 3. But you got the best team in the league, no fall off with Milwaukee. How could you not vote for him? And then you have a team that you really thought would go to the wayside.
Right.
OKC was not supposed to withstand the first departure of Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook was able to hold it down. Oh my goodness. Now Russell Westbrook's gone. Everybody's gone. The fail of a dynasty, the 30-30, the dynasty that never was, all this other stuff, and all OKC did was go and be competitive in the West. Got to give him kudos for that. And then, like you said, Nick Nurse. And he lost his best player, and they're 2 seed. No fall off there either.
Yeah, man. I just got to say one more time, don't respect my son, Billy Donovan's name. Listen, man, I remember speaking last year with Ty on the Lost Files. of Three the Hard Way.
I don't think
One
it's
day-
lost files. Remember, we was talking Coach of the Year before. We was talking Billy Donovan.
Not the lost files. We got to pull that tape up.
I know what he
He
did.
was saying that Billy Donovan wasn't a coach, wasn't a good coach,
Mhm.
that he couldn't coach NBA players, that he should stay at Florida, blah, 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 blah. And now look at him now. Turn
Who's
his
he
team
coaching?
Coach of
around.
the Year.
Who's he coaching? You take
Who's he
Chris
coaching?
Paul out of the equation, and he's coaching a whole bunch of players that would probably still be in college, like Amadou Diallo,
Yeah.
like Nader,
Yeah.
and all these young
Dort.
Burton and Dort. He's coaching all these young nobodies,
But there's a
and
lot
they're
of
becoming
but
somebody.
there's a lot of
I think
teams
that's what he's good at.
that coaches young nobodies.
I think that's what he's
Like-
good at. I
like
don't
the
think that
Bulls.
he's a championship coach,
Like
and he
the
had championship.
Cavaliers.
Are you expecting OKC to go to championship this year?
I'm expecting.
Are you expecting OKC to go to championship this year? Are they championship contenders?
No,
Did you expect them to be championship contenders this year?
no.
And that's what makes him a good coach, because he's doing what you aren't expecting from them. 2 years ago, they're supposed to be championship contenders. What happened? They lost in the first round. Last year, they're supposed to be championship contenders. And what happened? They lost in the first round.
Well,
Part of that is on Billy Donovan. Yes, part of it is on Russell Westbrook. Part of it is on Paul George.
yeah.
Part of it is on Melo.
And Melo came back, bang, bang,
He didn't
bang.
come back yet to the playoffs. Tom. Same thing with, and that's
I can't
that's
wait.
why when I talk about the Rockets, I know I
can't
want to
wait.
go back to the Rockets too much. But I talk about the Rockets, everything seems good right now. Yeah, we're in every game. But I'm not judging them. We can say whatever the hell
So
we
let's
want about
say-
the Rockets right
let's say,
now.
for example-
I'm not judging James Harden if he's in the second round of the playoffs, and is he going to show up
Now,
or
let
not?
me ask you a question. If the Rockets lose in the first round, I got you. If the Rockets lose in the first round, does that tell more for Billy Donovan or does that tell more for Russell Westbrook?
Depends on how they lose.
Okay.
That's a good question, though. It depends on how they lose. Depends on how they lose. I think it depends on how they lose. If they lose because of Russell Westbrook,
If the Rockets
Okay.
lose the first round,
the Rockets shouldn't lose in the first round.
that's all on
I don't care who they
D'Antoni.
get.
That's
Dallas,
all on
Denver,
D'Antoni.
Portland, Memphis, Utah. I hope we get Utah. I hope they get Utah. But they should lose in the first round. John, ex Nick fan. Not jacking the Knicks no more. Tom Thibodeau.
Put my
Good-
Knicks fan hat on real quick.
Good hire back.
Good hire, bad
As
hire.
a former Knicks fan, I think that's a good hire.
Oh my
I
god.
think Tom's a good hire. I think that, number one, he knows how to set culture, and that's what the Knicks need. They need somebody that's going to set the culture, that's going to have these young boys do exactly what you was talking about with Billy Donovan, and to coach them up.
And he's the one?
Who coached up Derrick Rose? Who coached up Joakim Noah? Who coached up Luau Deng? Who coached up all them boys? That's Tom Tibbs. He created
Bruh.
that whole team. Who
Bruh.
created Jimmy Butler? Who created
I
Jimmy
watched
Butler?
that offense win games, scoring 72 and 74 and 76 points.
Yeah.
He don't got those same players in New York. He doesn't have a Joakim Noah. He doesn't have a Jimmy Butler.
He don't.
He doesn't have Carlos Boozer.
He doesn't.
He doesn't have a Luol Deng. He doesn't have an MVP in Derrick Rose. You know what he did last time he coached? With all the talent, but he didn't have players that was on that level?
Were they known?
Nothing.
Were they known for that before Tibbs?
It was the 8th seed.
Were they known for that before
You know
Tibbs?
for what?
And then Jimmy Butler blew the whole thing up.
Two, creating that system where you know them as defensive players. Luau Deng was not nobody before Thibodeau.
Oh, that's
Huh?
not true. That's not true. I don't know what I can't give you
Nah,
totally
bro. I feel like Scott
Thibodeau
Skiles got
got
some
there.
credit for my boy Luau Deng too, man. Don't disrespect.
No, Scott Skiles got credit for Ben Gordon.
And that's when Luau
And then
Deng was around
The
there
next
too.
year, Tibbs came. What are you talking about?
And all I know is that Luol Deng was always traded for Kobe. And I don't know who was coaching when that happened.
Scott.
That's when Luol Deng was at the top of his peak. When they almost traded him for Kobe. When Tom Thibodeau coached in Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Jimmy Butler, Jeff Teague, Derrick Rose, the list goes on and on. They did nothing. And
Made
the
the
problem
playoffs.
was there was no culture. Jimmy Butler was coming there bullying everybody.
No, the
Cat was
problem
a
is-
baby.
Problem was
The problem is Cat is so-
female dog.
Anthony Wiggins can't be coached. Andrew Wiggins can't be coached. And Jimmy Butler was coming in and messing their whole system up, talking about they got to play
And
hard.
Tom Thibodeau run his players into the ground. Don't got a good winning percentage outside
And
of
you
those years
think
in
that Eric
Chicago.
Spoelstra and Pat Riley don't?
No, I don't.
Oh, you're bugging. Pat Riley's notorious for doing that. That coach, you can ask D Wade about that, bro.
But it's a difference between getting ran to the ground and get your body fat under 2% than playing 44 minutes in back-to-back games every single night.
Right. I don't think Tom Thibodeau is good for young players. I think Tom Thibodeau has to inherit a team, and hopefully he doesn't mess it up. I think there are other coaches that were way better than him in their last couple of coaching stints that should have got the job. I don't know if I'm sounding like Shannon Sharp right now, But I feel like Shannon Sharp, you got some other coaches like Mark Jackson, like Jeff Van Gundy, like even Jason Kidd, Tyrone Lue. There's other guys out there. There's some assistant coaches that could have been. I'm not sold on Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau needs to go back to just like those guys did when they started losing. Because you talk about Tyrone Lue coaching championship teams. Tom Thibodeau's never coached a championship team yet. He keeps getting every job. Give him a defensive coordinator position. Give him a specialist position and let him work his way back into it.
For that, Timberwolves made.
So are the Knicks going to be good in the next 3 years? Are the Knicks going to be good?
Will be good in the next 3 years.
I put it this way: good with Tom Thibodeau as their coach, they will have a better 3 years than they had in the last 3 years.
You think so?
110%.
I'm willing to bet Tom Thibodeau don't make it 3 years in New York.
He's New York.
Now here's New York tough.
He's New York tough. He can take it. He can take it.
He could. I want John and Rob to get into this, actually. Zion's minute restriction. Are the Pelicans throwing away their chances right now with Zion minute restriction?
No, I think they're protecting their future.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair.
They have a legit chance to make the playoffs. And if you're playing 25 minutes as opposed to 15 with your second best player, you're not going to be making them playoffs in this West. Right
if you're getting 25 minutes, 23.7, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists.
This is a good 25 minutes.
That's a great.
But I think that's
they
the part.
lost in those 15
games.
those 15 minutes, and they got the W when he played 25.
If he's gonna be on a minutes restriction, let's be more methodical about this restriction. Let's not just say, "Oh, we're gonna play him the first 5 minutes each quarter, and regardless of what's happening later, we don't care." Let's put him in when it matters. Give him the first quarter. Use him when it matters in the second half.
Did y'all see the Jordan documentary?
Yeah.
And how that minute restrictions helped Jordan out?
Yeah. So I don't think
if you have a high caliber player, we're talking about comparing him to Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the same treatment. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Michael Jordan also broke his foot like the next year, didn't he?
No. That was the year he broke his foot. He had the minute restriction.
Oh, okay.
And you remember in that documentary, Jordan went to North Carolina and was playing basketball without the Bulls knowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why Zion's averaging 23 right now, because he's playing basketball and killing when they lift the restriction. When they lift the restriction, he's going to do better.
We're about to start with some football. We're going to go into some football really quickly. The NFL dropped their top 10 list. No, excuse me, their top 100 list, voted on by the players only.
By the players.
And a lot of controversy on this list. We are graced to have one of my old colleagues. Happy to have him.
He's a hero of mine.
Hero.
Mike Telek is a hero to most. Mike Telek is
truth to power.
So you've probably seen him before on social media. He's been on TMZ. He's been on other news outlets. A couple years ago, I think it was Super Bowl 53. He was working with KDKA TV with Pittsburgh, and he put in the lower third about a story about Tom Brady, known cheater, and that went viral all over the place. Me and him have a deeper connection. We actually worked together at Edinburgh. He gave me my first. He worked with me on my first. I was on his show actually. It was his show, his first sports talk show. We also hosted. We also did some play-by-play with some games, some basketball games. So happy to have Mike Telek with us. He is definitely into the football. No, lost his job speaking the truth about Tom Brady, his truth about Tom Brady and others too. We spoke about
my
that
truth
on this show
too, bro.
Before. We spoke about that on this show before, so it's great to have you, Mike. Anything you want to say to the folk before we get into this?
I just have one question, because when you brought about our past, I remember the first time I met you, Ty, was we were playing like football in like the softball field, and you had the Ty Boogie jersey on. So, the background of that jersey and where it came from, and do you still have it?
The Tom Boogie jersey. That was actually one of my first rough touch football leagues. Actually, it's crazy because right now I have on a rough touch football league that I play in now. But yeah, we was playing out in like Bay Ridge. We were like 3-10. I caught like 7, 8 interceptions that year, but they was throwing it all over us. So of course you go catch the yeah, that was the first year of rough touch. I just stepped out of tackle football because I wanted to take care of my body. But that jersey was fire, so I wore it everywhere.
Oh, so good.
You guys ripped it out there. Somebody ripped my jersey. My first time wearing it out in Edinburgh. I don't know who did it, but somebody ripped my jersey. I was not happy about it right before flag football. But
Because you're killing everyone. True #1 star
I look good. I'm telling you, listen.
We gotta get those.
Like I say about everybody in intramurals, bro. Shout out to my boy John Counts. He says this all the time. Everybody nice when they not being asked. Everybody nice at intramurals when you playing collegiate sports on a lower level. Everybody getting, you know what I mean, look good on a certain field until you playing against the right folk. So yeah, but it's great to have you, Mike. So yeah, let's jump into this list though. Top 10 is what we wanted to focus in on. And man, how do you feel about the list? Before we even get into, I think you said you made your own list, correct?
So I thought it was actually a very good list.
Okay.
I mean, it's tough because there's only 10 spots. I know, like, when you see, like, 11, like, Breeze, 12, I don't know if I can get that out of here.
Thank you.
Bob Wagner, 13, Tom Brady, terrible. Those are still, like, top-tier guys that are just on the outside looking at the top 10. But every time I look at the top 10, it's like, who would I take out? These guys are still at the top. But I thought they did a good job on the list. I felt like there wasn't anyone who was snubbed or, like, left out. I wasn't feeling hurt.
Okay. Guys, how y'all feel about the list?
I have a question for you, Mike. You said there wasn't any snubs, but how do you feel about the rankings, though? Do you feel like they got it right? Like, do you feel like this person was better than that person if they played the same position? Are any scenarios like that for you in there? Because for me, there are.
Like, when the positions are, like, kind of close, like, when they had Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins, I'm like, that's 1A and 1B. Like, I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, Lamar, I thought, had just such a sensational season, basically broke football and changed the way we're playing the game. I mean, I thought, of course, he'd be number one, but then I feel like you have to go Pat number 2. It can't be like, oh, I'm at 4. Yeah, you're at 4, you miss some time, it's still your Pat Mahomes, you won the Super Bowl, that's still part of the team.
I'm gonna piggyback on that because I just feel like when it comes to the ranking of the list, Patrick Mahomes beat a lot of those guys that voted on this list. He showed them how good he is. I'm pretty sure every Tennessee Titan voted Mahomes at number 1. I'm pretty sure, like,
Texans?
every that's what I meant to say. I'm sorry, not Tennessee Titans. Every Houston Texan voted Mahomes at number 1. The way that he came back and beat them. And for what it's worth, all he's done is come in the league, win MVP, and the Super Bowl.
50 touchdowns and
throw for 50 touchdowns.
5,000 yards.
As good as Russell Wilson is, I don't know if he had that type of year to me, even if we're going based on the years. But just on last year, I don't think he had the year to say he was better than Patrick Mahomes. Like you said, Patrick Mahomes did miss some time. True. So, in my opinion, did you see what he did when it mattered most? How he brought his team back from despair. A lot of people wouldn't even think that it's possible to come back in a situation like that with such a good offensive team on the other end of the football. So, I think Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson would definitely flip-flop. I would even go as far as to say Patrick Mahomes won simply because as a Raven fan, in that jersey that you would talk about earlier, Mike, was definitely white and purple, Raven colors. That's probably why I had it as long as I did. But as a Raven fan, we love Lamar Jackson, and I'm definitely riding with him till the wheels fall off. But at the same time,
as you should,
he hasn't won anything yet. He's 0-2 in the playoffs, and the last loss was pretty telling about where there are holes in his game. The fact that he can't really throw outside the numbers. When he did get flustered at times, and that was the first time we had seen it. So of course he's gonna face some adversity. But I don't know if he was better than Patrick Mahomes. As to be true, even as a Raven fan, like I said last week, I'd rather watch Patrick Mahomes than watch my Ravens.
I have a take that I'm kind of confused on. I remember last year Khalil Mack was higher in the top 10, and he dropped down to 19. Why the drop? Why do you feel like he dropped so far? Was he not as dominant? I feel like he was. I just feel like his team didn't win as much.
I think. Anybody want to touch on that before I jump in? Two than you, Mike. You want to touch on Khalil Mack?
I would like to say I'm going to shout out to D lineman or Akeem Hicks. I've heard most of the season, when you're eating up blocks, it takes more room for playmakers like Mack to get things done and sniff out plays. With that said, I mean, he was missing time. Another defensive lineman was missing time on that Bears D line. So it's like with those two key pieces out, Mack still had an incredible season, and yeah, itself, I agree. So I mean, I'm on the same kind of boat. Like, where is the drop off coming from? Is it just a team record?
I think the only difference between Khalil Mack last year and the year before was those he was winning games by himself. Like I think the first game he went over to the Bears, he created a forced fumble, sack, pickup, return, or he didn't return it for a touchdown, but
it was like in the goal line.
Right? It was unrealistic plays that he was making, and he would make those plays. And last year, I think I saw more of him being right there but the ball just getting out in time, being right there, but not recovering the fumble. So when you, like you said earlier, Mike, when you look at the guys that are on this list above him, it's not like they're scrubs or they don't belong. So I guess someone that did, as a playmaker, someone that didn't have the ability, like you said, with other players of the team not being there, and also not making the same exact 8 forced fumbles. He wasn't doing the same exact numbers, and that's probably why his numbers went down. Why his number went down, I should say.
I was just looking further down the list. And Jimmy Garoppolo's on this list?
As a top 100 player, why not?
Over Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan?
You got to remember.
And Dak Prescott?
Here's the thing that's also telling, bro. This is a list made by the players. Of course, there's salty players out there, but we as, analysts or fans of the game, we aren't in the trenches the way those guys are. So I would take their opinion a little bit more than I would take the best writer that you had out there. Say any great sports writer, because they're in the trenches with them. So I think that there is something to maybe the training and maybe the preparation that these guys put in, and of course what they do on the field. Because I would even go as far as to argue that I like Travis Kelce over George Kittle. I like DeAndre Hopkins over Mike Thomas. But I'm not upset that those guys are in those places, because I understand. And I understand team success. I understand players' numbers.
I get that. If you're going to sell me on team success, that's an argument I can completely understand. But I just don't understand how Garoppolo had a better year than Carson Wentz, to me.
Carson Wentz he didn't have anybody to throw to. He was hurt half the season. He was in and out.
Carson Wentz ain't had nobody to throw to. Exactly.
Right. So going into this year,
granted, the Niners made the Super Bowl,
mm-hmm.
but that was on the backs of the running back and three-headed monster,
mm-hmm.
and Kyle Shanahan's play call and a great defense. So I just don't agree with that one. And I'm not. And as a homer, I want to say Matt Ryan, but then when you look at the fact that we sucked
mm-hmm.
and the Eagles actually made the playoffs, it's like that's the arguing point for me.
Hey. So, Mike, you said you had created your own top 10 list, and we're curious to hear how you set it up, and so we can tear it apart or agree with it.
Yeah, no, real quick, I just have one quick thought. You're bringing up, these guys are in the trenches. I felt like there was a lot of disrespect to the linemen. So for me, the one thing I really was struck on while I looked at this list was that there was no linemen in the top 20. Quentin Nelson came in around 23 or 24. Zach Martin was in the 50s. That was the only other lineman I saw. I love Lake Johnson, Philadelphia, or Tyrion Smith from Dallas got on there either, but I just feel like there's not a top 10 guy right now, like a Mauler or a Jonathan Ogden or Calvin or Orlando Pace guy that just kind of demolished everything and just ran the league.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely disrespectful, thankless position sometimes, because those guys, not only do they kind of set the offense up to be successful, whether it be the passing game or the running game, they also have some of the most gruesome injuries. When you think about what they sacrifice as big dudes, and having littler guys or big guys as well fall on their legs in weird positions and pushing them to go. So I think that they should get more respect, and you would expect it to come from them, if anybody. I mean, we the fans like the flashy stuff, the receivers, the quarterbacks, the running backs, the corners. Well, you would expect the linemen, the offensive players, the defensive linemen that have to fight, that only get 4 sacks a season because I couldn't get past this guy, to give them some credit. It's a thought that we need to dig deeper into. Why is this happening? But Telek, go ahead, give us your list, man.
All right, so like I said, I thought the list they gave was pretty good, and I probably went by it, especially going through this year. And if you're a well-known person, that may help you a tiebreaker. But of course, this year I have Lamar 1.
Okay.
I went Pat Mahomes 2. Then I have Stephon Gilmore at 3. Michael Thomas at 4, Chris McCaffrey at 5, then Aaron Donald, DeAndre Hopkins, Greg Kittle, Chandler Jones, and then Bobby Wagner at 10.
So you took Russ completely out the list.
Yeah, I just felt like Russ. I mean, he makes great plays. He's a great athlete.
I agree with him.
But I mean, I just felt like to get other people ahead at different positions, you gotta make sacrifices. You want to make an omelet, you gotta break some eggs. I'm sorry, Russ. I still love you. You really stuck for me.
Even though he's so
corny.
facts. I agree. I don't think that Russ. If I had to make my list, I wouldn't put Russ in my top 10. He's definitely. I think he's a formidable quarterback. He'd be in the top of my quarterbacks when I have that top 5 quarterback conversation. I think he edges even a great like like Aaron Rodgers out. At the same time, not in the top 10.
I think for Russ, it's not about stats. It's more about him winning. He hasn't lost since he got in the league, and his ability to lead, and him being clutch.
How far did he get last year?
Second round to the 49ers.
He lost to the 49ers. Second round, right?
Yeah. So, he won a Super Bowl, and his team, like you said, is constantly in rebuild mode, but not in rebuild mode, and they don't coin the phrase, but we know that they're not as good with it as what they were, and they still managed to make
because
it
of Russell.
Because
Because
his ability,
Russell Wilson,
his ability to make plays and control the game. Like, I think that he is one of the best clock managers in the league, and also when it comes down to it and putting the ball in the end zone and making plays and moving the chains, he's good at that too. So I think that's why he's on the top 10. But this is statistically, there's better players out there.
Yeah, Rob. Final thoughts? I don't know how Mahomes not number 1. I just don't
anybody.
I don't know how Mahomes not number 1.
I don't understand that.
I mean, I get it. Lamar Jackson is great,
but I guess if I look at it in a different perspective, it's like the players, what they're telling me essentially is if Lamar Jackson had Patrick Mahomes' weapons, he would do the same thing. And I say, I feel you, but I don't think he can read the field like he can. So
we're gonna see.
Make the throws that he can.
We're gonna see. I think he can make. We're gonna see. We're gonna see about the young boy. I think that's gonna be the future. They're gonna be chasing each other's tails for a while.
Yeah. Real interesting.
Real quick before we let you go, Mike. NFL allowing players to opt out. I believe the opt out day, the deadline is upon us. Very close.
It's Thursday, the 6th, I believe.
So that's deadline is right there.
August 6th.
What is your feelings toward that? Do you think players should be opting out? Do you think they will have an NFL season this year? What are your thoughts toward it?
I mean, it's definitely up to the players. Like, everyone has their own decision to make. I saw Marquise Goodwin was like, "Oh, we just had a child after trying for so long, so I don't want to risk it." Of course, the Chiefs guard is freshman game. I can't pronounce his name. He's a trained medical professional. He's a doctor, so he's working on his season to go help work on COVID and help his hospital in his hometown. I mean, every player has a decision to make. I mean, of course, health is number 1. But I mean, to me, at the end of the day, I just don't know how you see like the Florida Marlins last week have 30 guys get sick. Well, not 30, but like 18 guys get sick, and then you're going to tell me an NFL team with 90 guys not in a bubble situation. If they're in a bubble, I would have a little bit more faith. But I mean, I think the NBA and the NHL has shown if you're not in a bubble, it's not going to work out real well.
I agree 100%. John, Rob?
No, definitely agree. I think it's going to be tough for NFL players. Kind of my argument with baseball, where just the sheer numbers of players and the ability to house them is going to be very difficult. And it's different than baseball because, like, my idea of what the bubble could be, what we talked about, is just having, like, the players stay in there in, like, a 3-state radius and play football within those 3 states.
Kind of like in a region.
So, like, in a region. So, like, if you have New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, like, all the teams just play between MetLife.
But are you just to kind of peek into Pandora's box? Are you asking professional athletes, millionaires, to stay in one area for 4 months or for 3 months?
Yeah, how long are you staying in that bubble?
To only play 1 game a week. In basketball, they've condensed the games. You're playing back to back. You can't really do that with football. You are risking a lot of health on the field if you were to have a football game on Monday, have another one on Thursday.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you can use a lot of the colleges. I don't know if you've been keeping up
colleges
with that.
Is about to let their students back,
but some colleges are not allowing players to play. I know that for a fact.
So we're gonna house professional sports.
Use a stadium.
But we're not gonna use our stadium ourselves.
If they decide not to play, if their division or their conference tells them not to play, and they're losing money, why not allow the NFL players to use their facilities and gain that revenue? See why that's an issue. It's not a risk off their black. It's a risk off the NFL.
Interesting thoughts here. Mike, it's great having you on. We love to have you back, man. Anything before we go?
No, I mean, I just say I love listening to you guys. I was a big fan of Jason was live on Facebook. You get the comments, get the questions and stuff. So you guys do great work, and glad you guys invited me out here.
Thank you.
Thanks to have you, Telek.
All right, man. We'll catch back up. You have a great night.
You too, guys.
All right, y'all. Last topic. I'm gonna shout my boys out. John, switch it up, John, aka Willis Reed Hunter, Jonathan, aka
Willis Reed Hunter.
Bill Murray. This weekend, the boys had a tournament. John Robb participated. 3 the Hallway was well represented, and I got to watch the championship game, and where the boy John his Achilles was hurting. If y'all don't remember, John tore his Achilles.
Last year.
We were doing the show when you tore your Achilles.
Yeah.
John tore his Achilles, and his other Achilles was bothering him. So he just got back on the court recently. Other Achilles bothered him, so he didn't play in the championship game
until the last 5 minutes.
And they was down 10. And John walked across the court and reached for his bag of kicks. It was really like a scene out of Space Jam. It was really cool. It was really cool being on the other side of the fence. And you see it in his face. If you knew him, you knew he was about to go in again. And you can see it in his walk. He shouldn't have been going in again. But I lied to you not. By the time he got his kicks on and got ready to play, no warm-up, no nothing, which was like, John. Here go John being John again. They was down 8. 3 the Hallway was down 8. 4 minutes later, it was 4 minutes left in the game. 3 the Hallway was up 4. So, in a 4-minute stretch, he went from negative, he was a plus 12 on the court. Not to say that he hit all the shots, and did all, but he made the team look good and would look like a championship loss. 3 the Hallway, Rob, John, and the rest of those guys. Shout out to them. Y'all pulled it off, man. Talk about it.
Yeah, shout out to J Hop from Easton. He let me know that there's going to be a tournament. You know, I went to high school in Easton. You know, we're stationed in New York now. But I got a lot of roots in Easton, man. A lot of love there. Shout out to Warren West, Jared West. All of my Easton and Love Rovers. You know what I mean? I was repping the Rovers, my high school team. Mm-hmm. But it was mad love there, bro. It was a great tournament. Anthony Clark, Northeast Enforcers. Mm-hmm. He had a great tournament there, and we look forward to continuing to work with them. He actually has a son. His son is nice, bro. His son is nice. D1 prospect going to St. Benedict's next year. Looking at getting looks from Villanova, some other D1 schools. And we looking to kind of put him on the map. So shout out to them. And also shout out. We went to also a whole time Zeke Easton Beverage. We got some slushies from Zeke, Coach Bellis, Palmer football on them, where I was from. So it was just like real homecoming kind of thing. It was great to go back there and win. I didn't expect to play the second game. Really, we was working out. The funny thing is we called it the bubble because we went out there on Saturday. We had a game at 1. Won that game, won the second game, and after that I was just like, bro, I might be done. We wake up in the morning, we go to the pool, get some pool workouts, and I was like, I'm feeling good.
Everyone doing stretching out their injuries.
That's why I said we was in a bubble. Yeah, we had access to things that other players did, like ice.
Word, unlimited.
But nah, it was really a dope experience, man. It was great. Came in the game, like you said, it was like 10 minutes left. We were down. I was that more or less. Rob really was the real MVP of the tournament. I'm not going to say that was me.
I'm not the real MVP of the tournament. I just did my part. I had a few good games. But I want to give a shout out to Project Game Time with the clutch jerseys, man.
Jerseys, Project Game Time.
Well represented.
That for y'all?
Yeah, they super clutch, man.
Nice.
Super clutch. Just like call them up, you need them, got them ready for you whenever you want it.
Fresh off the press.
Fresh off the press, man. Definitely need those. But yeah, the tournament was really surreal. Saw a lot of my good old time friends, and it was really like. I always said I wanted to play a tournament at that park.
That's your second week in Easton, back to back. What did you do 2 weeks ago?
I got married 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago in Easton. Yeah. And you come back the week after for your honeymoon.
In the
come and you take everybody money.
Feeling like
I was talking to my homeboy at the Xbox. Like, man, we mad. You got our trophy now. I was like, yeah, I had to. But yeah, man, it was definitely surreal because I always wanted to play at a tournament there. And the last time I was there, they had a MVP trophy for my stepfather who passed away. And then named the MVP trophy for his members. And me and John went out to represent. And like, to win, yeah, man, that was really a great feeling, man. Yeah. And to do it with through the hallway as our brand new teammate, it was just even better.
Yeah,
So y'all finna see us everywhere, man, on your jerseys and your. You gotta make some fat heads. You gotta make some posters.
You out here.
You know what I mean? Some hats, some
Look out for
shirts,
some
man.
shirts, though, man.
Free the hallway. We are out here.
Don't be surprised if you have a Free the Hallway tournament in Queens coming soon.
Look out for that, man. But we are out here. Free the hallway. We are also out of here because we are out of time.
So, Mary's been on us.
Actually, he's been telling us to shut the hell up for the longest. We gonna finally listen to him. And then we gonna tell him later. You gotta tell us to shut up some more. Shout out to Mary being in the studio with us, y'all. Thank you for joining us. Free the hallway, man.
Free the Hallway.
See y'all later.